Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining Sustain Life Journal Yoga today. We will be flowing through a 20-minute Hatha yoga class that's basically just a morning flow, morning stretch class, and then we will finish it off with a 5-minute meditation. So you can go ahead and get started in child's pose with your feet together and your knees out wide and your arms stretched out in front of you. And just begin by taking deep inhales and exhales through your nose. If you enjoyed today's class, please feel free to subscribe so you don't miss any of the new classes that come out. And if you'd like more information on yoga lifestyle and sustainable living, you can sign up for the newsletter at sustainlifejournal.com. We'll slowly start to walk our hands over to the right side of our mat, really stretching out through our left side body and pressing gently into our right hand with our left palm. And again, just keeping our attention on our inhales and exhales. Take a deep inhale through your nose, and on your exhale, release and allow your hands to walk over to the left side of your mat, allowing your right palm to gently press into your left palm, feeling the stretch in our right side body. We'll gently begin to release out of this pose and bring our hands stretched out in front of us again, but we'll flip our palms to face upwards towards the sky, just stretching out the backs of our arms and hands, still allowing the backs of our hands to gently press into the mat. Begin to bend at your elbows and allow your hands to come to your upper back to stretch out your triceps. If you'd like to deepen this stretch, you can slowly move your elbows farther away from your head towards the top of your mat. If you'd like to lessen the intensity of the pose, you can allow your hands to come back onto the earth or just gently lift your forehead up off the mat. While we practice yoga, it's a great time to practice just focusing on what feels good for us and what doesn't. So just tune in to intuitively what works for you and what doesn't, and use your own guidance as I also assist you in this flow. You can slowly begin to come out of that pose, and we'll actually move forward into an upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. You can lift your chin up towards the sky, really pressing into your hands and the tops of your feet. Your thighs can be on the mat or lifted up, just stretching out our chest. You can begin to look over your right shoulder, and on your next exhale, allow your head to look towards the left side. You can flow in between, looking over each shoulder. Allow your hips to gently move backwards, and we'll come into a tabletop position with our hips over our knees and our shoulders over our hands. And then we'll go ahead and flip our hands to the tops of our hands, allowing our fingertips to be pointing towards our knees. And then finding some small movements, just swaying side to side or forward and back. Maybe changing to the palms of your hands if you'd like to stretch out the front of your arms, just falling into your own rhythm. Slowly make your way to stillness, and then we'll go ahead and come into a seated position on our hips. We can just shake out our hands, maybe do some circles with our wrists, maybe flick our fingers, just allow our arms to loosen up a bit. And then we'll make our way back into tabletop position, moving through some rounds of cat and cow pose, Biktilasana and Marijalasana. We'll start by moving into our cat pose, really arching our back and drawing our chin in towards our chest, firmly pressing into the palms of our hands. And on your exhale, release your belly towards the earth and looking up towards the sky, allowing our tailbone and chin to come with us. On your next inhale, moving into cat pose, drawing your belly button in, and then begin to move through some rounds of cat and cow pose at your own pace, following the rhythm of your breath. You can begin to allow in some organic movements, maybe swaying side to side, sticking with the traditional cat and cow poses, or moving into your own style. Begin to make your way into a place of stillness, and then we'll come over into a seated position. We can start by crossing our right foot in front of our left, and then gently walking our hands out in front of us. You definitely don't have to walk your hands to the very tip top of your mat. You can go as far as it feels good in your body. Your forehead doesn't have to reach the mat. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. It just should feel good for you. This is a really great stretch for our hips. If your mind has started to wander away from this present moment in this yoga class, just a gentle reminder that throughout yoga, we really want to try to keep our attention on our breath and on the present moment. Slowly begin to walk your hands back towards your body, and we'll move into this pose on the opposite side. So bringing our left foot in front of our right knee, and again, gently and mindfully, we'll walk our hands out in front of us, getting this stretch on our left hip. Gently begin to allow your hands to come towards your body, and we will open up our feet into an Upavista Konasana pose. So this straddle position you might have done in a gym class or another workout class. And again, allow your hands to move forward in front of you. Maybe find a bit of a sway side to side. Consider trying to reach for your toes. and just finding what works for you. Finding a little bit of balance after we stretched out different sides of our body. And then when you're ready, find a place of stillness and just relax, just surrender into this pose. Take a deep inhale through your nose, and on your exhale, allow yourself to come out of this pose, and we'll move into some twisting poses. So we'll start by extending both of our legs out in front of us, and then go ahead and bend your right leg and cross your foot over your left leg. You can stay right there, or you can go ahead and bend your left leg, allowing your foot to come to your right side body. Take a deep inhale and allow your left hand to rise over your head. And then give your right knee a hug and look over your right shoulder. Gently begin to release our right side, extending our hands over our head, and then doing a little counter twist by twisting over to the left. And then we'll allow our feet to meet, and we'll move over to our right side. So bend your left knee and allow your left foot to come over your right leg. Then stretch up with your right hand and give your left leg a little hug, gently looking over our left shoulder. And again, just refocusing on our inhales and exhales as our body deepens into this pose. Take a deep inhale, and on your exhale, release into your counter pose, twisting over to the right side. When you feel all even, you can bring your legs out in front of you again. And then we'll bend our knees pretty generously, and then allow our arms to scoop underneath our knees, kind of giving ourselves a hug and just stretching out our lower back. The more you bend your knees, the easier this pose will feel in your body. And the more you straighten your legs, the higher the intensity of the stretch will feel. Gently begin to release out of this pose, unraveling our arms. And we can tuck our legs in and roll over into our tabletop position with our shoulders over our wrists and our hips over our knees. Then tuck your toes, lift your hips, and move back into your downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. You can begin to walk your dog by bending one knee then the other and just playing around in how this pose feels. This is a yoga pose that we come back to many times throughout, yoga classes, especially vinyasa classes. And it can feel very familiar, but every day this pose could feel different in our bodies. So begin to find a place of stillness. And again, just breathe. Take a deep inhale through your nose, and on your exhale, allow your right foot to come up behind you, and then bend your knee, opening up your hip. Begin to square your hips, and then allow your knee to come in towards your chest and your foot to reach the front of your mat in between your hands, coming in to our low lunge. Your hands can remain on the outsides of your foot, or they can make their way up to your knee, or even stretch up over your head, grounding down through your foot and feeling the lift through your hands. On your next exhale, allow your hands to frame your foot and shift your hips back into downward facing dog. Take a deep inhale, and on your exhale, lift your left foot up behind you, and then again we'll bend our knee, moving into scorpion pose. Then we'll draw our knee in towards our chest and then place it in between our hands. Allowing our hips to sink into this pose and finding the arm variation that works best for us on this side of our body. Sometimes a certain position will feel okay on one side of our body, and then we try to do it on the other side and it feels a little bit different. So throughout our yoga practice, we have to continuously check in with how each side of our body feels in that present moment. Begin to release your hands outside of your left foot. We'll move back into a quick plank and then shift back into our downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Slowly begin to tiptoe your feet up towards your hands into our forward fold, Uttanasana. You can bring your hands to opposite elbows and have a pretty generous bend in your knees. Just really sinking into this first forward fold of class. Take a deep inhale through your nose, coming into halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, with a flat spine. On your exhale, release Uttanasana. And on your inhale, raise your hands up over your head. And then allow your hands to come to your lower back, coming into a small back bend. When you're ready, allow your hands to come back over your head. And then on your exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Begin to really bend into your knees, so much so that your hips come down onto the mat in a seated position, and you can slowly make your way to your back. You can bring your feet together and your knees out wide, just for a quick release of our lower back. Gently begin to bring your knees together, allowing your feet to be planted firmly on the mat. And then we'll draw our belly button in, moving into our bridge pose and lifting our hips up off the mat. We can press into our hands or interlace them underneath our hips. But again, just trying to keep a straight spine and pressing into our heels. Allow your hips to come down onto the earth, And then begin to stretch your hands and feet out, coming into our final pose of class, Shavasana. In our Shavasana pose, we completely surrender and we let go. We let go of what happened in class today. We let go of our expectations, our planning mind of what's happening once we get off of our mat. And we just thank ourselves for taking the time to carve out some self-care time for ourselves today. And I wanted to leave you with a quote by Morgan Harper Nichols that says, "I am worthy of the time it takes to do the things that heal my heart." So again, we'll just focus on our inhales and exhales and relax. If you would like to take today's meditation from a seated position, you can begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. And then when you're ready, rolling over into a fetal position and slowly making your way up to a seated position. You are more than welcome to take your meditation from your Shavasana pose, really any pose that works well for you. No rush to move into a seated position. And in our meditation, like I said many times in class today, we are just going to focus on our inhales and exhales, which sounds very simple, but as we continue meditating, it can be a little bit more difficult. Our brain can, bop around to all different thoughts, which is totally normal and totally okay. But we really want to practice just refocusing and not clinging on to any of those thoughts. So start by taking some deep inhales and exhales through your nose, and then I will let you know when the meditation is complete. Begin to deepen your inhales and exhales, maybe bringing some movement to your hands and feet, and just reawakening our body, getting it prepared to move on with our day, hopefully with a little bit more peace and appreciation for ourselves after our morning stretch and flow and meditation. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to take this class and take care of yourself. And thank you so much for joining Sustain Life Journal Yoga today. If you'd like to subscribe to get more classes, please do so. And if you'd like to join the newsletter, which will be all about sustainable living and yoga lifestyle tips, you can join at sustainlifejournal.com. All right, have a beautiful day, and I hope to see you next time.